Welcome back to Play IQ Trivia. This quiz will reveal how strong your attention span really is. If you click away before the end, your attention span might already be failing. Each question describes a habit. Choose the answer that fits you most often. Stay till the end to see your result. Let's begin. How often do you start a video but don't finish it? How often do you skip ahead instead of watching fully? How often do you watch videos at 1.5x or 2x speed? How often do you open YouTube but forget what you came to watch? How often do you switch videos within the first 30 seconds? How often do you scroll to comments before the video ends? How often do you feel impatient during slow intros? How often do you check your phone while already watching something? How often do you need subtitles to stay focused? How often do you replay parts because you zoned out? If you're still here, that's already a good sign. But the next questions are more revealing. Time for the next segment. How often do you multitask while watching content? How often do you check notifications mid-task? How often do you switch apps without finishing anything? How often do you feel the urge to do something else? How often do you struggle to focus without background noise? How often do you open social media without a reason? How often do you interrupt tasks to check messages? How often do you feel bored within minutes? How often do you abandon tasks halfway through? How often do you feel mentally restless? Be honest with yourself. These next questions catch people off guard. Don't rush. Stay with it. Let's go. How often do you forget what you were about to do? How often do you reread the same sentence? How often do you forget instructions shortly after hearing them? How often do you miss details in conversations? How often do you forget why you opened an app? How often do you struggle to recall what you just watched? How often do you feel mentally foggy? How often do you lose track of time unintentionally? How often do you zone out during explanations? How often do you forget names or facts quickly? How often do you skim instead of reading fully? How often do you abandon articles halfway? How often do you feel tired when reading long text? How often do you jump between tabs while studying? How often do you struggle to finish books? How often do you forget what you just read? How often do you avoid long explanations? How often do you feel overwhelmed by information? How often do you prefer short summaries? How often do you need breaks while learning? These final questions will make or break your result. If you're not guilty of any one, you're among the 1%. Stay focused. How often do you procrastinate simple tasks? How often do you feel mentally exhausted without doing much? How often do you jump between unfinished tasks? How often do you feel distracted during conversations? How often do you struggle to stay present? How often do you lose interest quickly? How often do you feel impatient waiting? How often do you rush through tasks? How often do you struggle with long routines? How often do you feel your mind wandering? If you made this far, you're doing so well. Bravo! We have only 10 questions left. Gear up! How often do you feel addicted to scrolling? How often do you check your phone without reason? How often do you struggle with self-control online? How often do you feel overstimulated? How often do you crave constant entertainment? How often do you struggle with silence? How often do you feel uncomfortable doing nothing? How often do you need reminders to stay on task? How often do you feel your focus declining? How often do you feel your attention span is shorter than before? Quiz complete. Now count how many times you chose C often or D almost always. Don't worry, awareness is the first step. Comment your score below and tell us if you made it to the end. If you enjoyed this test, try our general knowledge and brain teaser quizzes next. Thumbs up, don't forget to like, subscribe, and challenge your focus again on Play IQ Trivia.